your action inspires other people to take action. So if you can't do it for yourself, do it for everybody that you love and everybody that surrounds you, because you're following your dream relentlessly, consistently will inspire other people to do the same.
Have you ever heard of somebody named P. Diddy?
Oh, Mr. Combs. Yeah, I think I've heard a little bit about that fellow.
The reason why I bring that into this conversation, and it seems like a very weird, poor segue, so excuse me on
Yes.
that. But it's made me nostalgic for a lot of like older style music. But it made me wonder, right? Like, what artists have we had the opportunity to meet who are taking a platform like hip hop and rap and applying it for such positive forces out there in the world?
Yes, there is a lot of bad and, dare I say, evil out there. And luckily, we have some people in this world willing to sit down and talk with us who are all about encouraging that positive growth we talk about all the time. Today, we're sitting down with Jeristotle. He's a rapper and an entrepreneur from Virginia who is now based out of Corpus Christi. And one of the things that really inspired me whenever we first talked is his 501c3, his nonprofit, which he's giving a platform to other artists to be able to grow and really exercise their own voice.
So, with all that being said, Jeristotle, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
100%, man. I'm excited to be here and have an awesome conversation with you guys.
Heck yeah. And so this nonprofit you're running too, that caught my ear real quick. What's it called?
It's called Raps and Apps. I like it because like it kind of blends in. The concept is, one, giving a platform to artists, but two, more on a like how side is like, I feel like artists have creativity, but a lot of times they're lacking that technical sophistication about, one, using technology to get there, and two, like what's the roadmap and the plan. So it's called Raps and Apps because it mixes creativity with technology. So it helps like increases artists' chances of achieving their goals is the main mission.
Dude, that is an awesome thing that you're running over there. That's incredible.
Appreciate it.
And that's only like 33% of the full picture here. Like you are an artist and also an entrepreneur as well. So do you kind of want to give Aaron and I and the audience here a little bit of a rundown of like who you are and, you know, what exactly it is that you're doing out here?
100%, man. So I really started my journey, kind of started in college. Obviously I was born before that, right? But like my musical journey, like my musical journey, like me and my friend, we were in a fraternity, and you know, we kind of came together and experimented with making music, and it was just a fun thing that we did, right? It was really fun and great time.
Right.
And then from there, we started playing like our music for our friends, like, hey, listen to this. And, you know, at first it wasn't that good, but then it started getting, we made a song about the fraternity, and that everybody lost their mind over that one. And then they started playing it at parties, and then it kind of just became this like really cool vibe thing. And then after graduation, we kind of kept doing that. And that's kind of where I learned some of my entrepreneurial skills, is like, how do you market music? How do you like use technology? How do you use social media to get it out there, you know? And on the side, I got my degree in information science, and I did web development on the side, so I could like help build websites and help make some extra money. So I was kind of pursuing both of those crafts at the same time. And, you know, Raps and Apps, right? It kind of is the origin of the nonprofit. I didn't know it at the time, but, you know, but that's kind of, you know, kind of stuck with me the whole time, I guess. But from there, you know, I was doing, you know, the traditional 9-to-5 job. I worked for the government for a little bit. I worked for web development agencies. And eventually I was like, why can't I just do this for myself? All I have to do is find some clients. And so I, you know, quit my 9-to-5, started doing freelance web development. That's where the entrepreneurial thing kicked in. And then I was like, well, I know how to build websites. I know how to get people to the websites. Why don't I make my own product? You know, so I crowdfunded a watch company with a friend on Indiegogo. Wow. It's called Viera Watches. Look it up if you want to. But we did that. And that was like my first real foray into like real pure entrepreneurship. And like, I just love it. It's just really, really cool to kind of create something and get people interested in it, and, you know, providing a service to people as well. So that's kind of from there, graduated, came to Corpus Christi, opened a music venue with a couple of my other friends. It started out as a food truck called Munchie's Bus, which is a whole nother story, but that was a good time. We graduated to a music venue. And then from there is like how we really got in touch with the city and just got to really work and connect with the different artists here. We call it like our jamily, like our the local musicians that come through the place and play, and the people that love listening. Yeah, the people that love listening to live music. So it's just our like little jamily. And from there, though, on the darker side of that, I just got to see like so many talented people that just didn't know how to go from where they were to where they want to go. And then like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. So at first I was like, oh, I can like maybe make an agency and then I can help them that way. And then they just pay me for my services. Problem. Artists don't have any money. so that whole
starving artist thing is a real thing.
That's the whole problem, right? So it was like, like I've spent years being like, how do I balance this? Like, I don't really know the solution. I know the problem. I know the services like that would help them, but how do you connect that middle ground? And it's just like, I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And then I just like I was looking at grants for my own music, honestly. And I ended up talking to this lawyer. She works with grants. She's like, well, there's way more grants for nonprofits than there are for individuals. And then I was like, oh, a nonprofit, like, yeah, I thought about doing that one day. And then I was just like, heard myself say that. And I'm like, why one day? Why don't you just start doing it now? Like, and that was last year. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing a nonprofit now. And then that's where I started ideating it together, and she helped me put it together. And then when I researched nonprofits a little bit deeper, I loved it because the purpose of a nonprofit is, instead of measuring your business success by money, it's by your impact. So I'm like, cool. Okay, that's a different way to think about it. So it's the same concept as a business. You just measure it based on your impact, and you get money from grants and other sources to fund your impact. And I'm like, I can do that. I love that. That's awesome. So that's the real full journey of myself into the nonprofit.
Dang, that is incredible.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
So I really love the fact that like you spent years like working on creating this. Okay, so you're building all these skills and everything that actually will end up formulating into this concept of the nonprofit and enhancing like your entrepreneurial side while also getting to be an artist. But it's just so wild to me because it's like it individually having those moments happen in your life, like going to college, be an artist, looking at trying to, you know, help out other musicians and market them and whatnot. You wouldn't think that those three things would come together to create what you have created, but you've done it. I mean, that's awesome.
I didn't know what I was doing. Like just like that. Like this, you know, for everybody listening, like you just because you don't know what you're doing doesn't mean you're not doing something. Because I did not know. This is a very recent discovery of mine of how to connect all my different pieces into something that makes sense. Is very, very new. And I think I've spent a lot of my time trying to figure that out. So I appreciate the journey more now. Because I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like the hindsight is 2020 thing. Like that's very, very much true. Like I see how the different pieces of my journey came to this point. But during the journey, I was lost a lot. But being lost made me found, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Real quick, I want to go ahead and give all of our listeners out there a heads up. If you're listening to us over on Apple, Spotify, or any other various podcast listening platforms, guess what? We're also over on YouTube. If you really are a person who likes that visual medium, please check us out over there on YouTube. You can go ahead and take a look at Aaron's incredible beard, or you can go see Jeristotle's incredible setup. I mean, dude, that's glorious back there, man.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. It's my little studio.
You should have seen him in his warehouse during our initial consult. Good God.
So if all of you guys want to be a part of this visual journey and kind of go see what exactly it is that we're talking about and go admire Jeristotle Studio, please check us out over on YouTube. Subscribe, leave a like, leave us some comments. It helps us a lot below if you can kind of tell us exactly what you're thinking of these episodes and what you want to hear us talk about next. So before I delay this for too much longer, I really want to hear more from Jeristotle. So let's go ahead and get back to the show. So Jeristotle, you are an artist, and I believe you published your first album at the age of 40, correct?
Yeah, it's crazy. I never really thought that, like, I did music with my friend back in the college days and a little bit afterwards, but I really didn't see myself as a solo artist. Because it was a fun thing I did with my friends. That's how it started. So that was kind of the root of it. And along that journey, we were doing well. We ended up opening for Pusha T. That was like our crowning achievement in Washington, D.C. in front of like 15,000 people. It was like the first time I ever got true stage fright. I was like, oh, for a second, like, oh my goodness. I was like, that's a lot of people. It's like all you can see is heads. Like you can't even, like, there's a million heads. I'm like, oh God, that's a lot of people.
Dude,
but then you gotta kind of,
it's like an ocean.
Yeah, you gotta kind of, you gotta either put up or shut up at that point. So, but it went really well. It was great. And then, from there, we're making a lot of moves. But my friend ended up having a child, and his family and his wife were kind of like, what are you doing with this music thing, man? Because we would be out super late, after a show, celebrating and all those things that come with that. And they were just like, you gotta get it together, man. You got to get a real job. So he ended up having to, make a decision, kind of put music on the back burner. He still loves it, still, creates, but not as focused on it, and got a traditional job. And then from there, I just kind of dove headfirst into entrepreneurship. Because, I was like, oh, well, that's a thing that we did. It was a great time. I'm not going to lie. It sucked. Like, it was like, I thought we were going to keep going forever, because it was just a great thing. And we had a good wave riding. But that kind of, I really think that showed me that a lot of times you might have plans, but they might not work out how you think they're going to work out. But that doesn't mean they're not going to work out. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so that happened. And then fast forward, I always kind of made music, worked with musicians, love artists. And my 40th birthday was coming up, and I was like, about 5 months out, I was like, what could I do that would just be super cool, that would be like an interesting gift to all the people that are going to come for my 40th birthday? Because they were traveling from all over the country to come visit, because I just have friends, I've traveled a lot, so I have friends that have traveled a lot, and our college network has never really completely dissolved, like with our fraternity and stuff. Like the people we're really close with, we just kind of, go on trips with and stuff like that all the time. So I was like, what can I do? That's a huge blessing. Yeah. Oh, dude, it's such, like, I didn't even realize, until like I got older and older and older. And I'm like, man, this is like, a lot of people don't have that at all. And like, we have it so much that we don't understand how good we have it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it really, the older I get, the more I'm like, man, this is really a huge thing. So I'm like, they're going to come visit me. And I had like a little party, and I was like, man, I really want to do something that'll be just like cool, something that they'll talk about, something that will be different. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I make an album? That will be, because everybody knows I do music. Everybody knows the whole history. And I was like, okay, I want to make a 10-song album. And this is like 5 months before the party. And I'm like, okay, let's just do it. I'm just going to do it. So I committed to it. And I was like, boom, just started cranking songs out. And I feel like it was like a lot of pent up creative energy that I hadn't got to use in a while. So the songs just kind of flowed out. Like, I think I made maybe 12 songs, and 2 of them, I was like, I don't want those on there. But the rest of them were just like pretty solid. And it just, I like to say I was like creatively constipated. I just like, I needed to release that creativity. And like, so I ended up making the albums. I ordered these like golden key USBs at the Made, got my logo put on there, because I've had a logo for a while. So I had my logo put on there, and then just gave them out as a gift to all the people that came to the party. It was like my first ever album on this limited edition golden USB key.
I actually saw I saw the golden key available as like merchandise. Can you still purchase that?
Yeah. So what I'm doing for every podcast I'm on, I'm actually giving it to the guests and the listeners of the podcast for free. All they have to do is pay shipping. So I have a free shipping thing, and anybody who listens to this can actually get one. I'll give you guys the link to share later.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure, man. I like to give, I think like for me, that kind of like my whole like theory with music is like, it's like a gift, or art in general. It's like a gift from the creator to the consumer. You know what I mean? So it's like, I like to kind of always like treat it like that, and then we can kind of go from there. If you like the music, come to a show, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I know that you said early on you felt like a big fish in a small pond, and that your move to Corpus Christi was really trying to dive into the ocean to facilitate your growth. Have you felt like you've achieved that end? Have you been able to grow and flourish?
So the first time I told you that, maybe I painted the picture rosier than it was when I got here. Because when I was, like you made it sound really, really nice. And when I first got here, life was crazy. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just got out of a serious relationship. Like I ended my big contract. I'd saved up a bunch of money. I was just tired of building websites for a living. Like I just really wasn't feeling. I didn't have a direction. I felt like very like floating in the wind. My goal was to like drive across the country, visit a bunch of friends, and just figure out my life. So I was like very much lost. And coming to Corpus wasn't even the plan. Like I was gonna bring one of my friends who wanted to work on a food truck down to my other friends who were opening a food truck. I was gonna hang out for a little bit, and I was gonna drive to California. Like I was gonna connect the dots, put them in touch, let them work together, and I'd be off on my merry way. When I got here, my friends had seen the watch company that I started and seen me do some other stuff, and they're just like, "We would like your help with what we're doing if you're down." And I just was like, I had a couple of little Jamesons in me, and I was feeling like all happy, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll give you guys a year. I'll give you guys a year. Why not? Why not? I'll give you a year." So I woke up the next morning instantly regretting saying that, because if I said it, that means I have to do it. I'm not a person who like goes back on the things that I say. So I was like, oh, why did I even say that? Like, I don't want to do that. What am I doing? So whatever, I was like, okay. So I started helping them out, working with the food truck, and it gave me, I always have found like work gives me purpose, So like, right. I think through the work, through hanging out with my friends, it kind of helped heal some of those wounds and help point me in a direction that I could, laying a new foundation where I could grow from and could kind of reach those goals where I am now. So that was like 8 years ago at this point, so that gave me time to heal through the situations, heal through the breakup, heal through the transitions of, I'm not doing websites quite as much anymore. I'm like, what am I doing exactly? The watch company, that guy had a baby too. So we ended up winding, pun intended, winding the watch company down. So like, this is like, man, so like what's next? What's big on the
right.
playlist? And it just was like the food truck just gave me something to do that was cool. I could use my skills, help me grow the brand, and from there it just kind of kept growing. But the plan wasn't always to stay here, but through the experiences and through the growth, step by step, it helped me realize the potential of being here and the benefit of working with friends, how we're doing.
The way you kind of painted that experience made it sound like Aaron did a good job of talking about it.
Yeah, he did a great job. He did a great job. He did a great job, yeah.
It's not exactly what you thought it was going to be, but it ended up being, I guess,
I think it was better. I think it was better. Yeah. I think like I had no idea what was going on pretty much. And then from there I got to like learn. And this is kind of like one of the things that like guides me through life these days is like, I don't know how it's going to end up, period. I know the direction I can walk in. And I think if you can get comfortable with that, it makes your life a lot easier. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't control the end result, but you can always control the inputs of what you're doing, So I think like I always try to do the best I can in a situation and let it become the best it can, but I can't necessarily dictate how that's going to look,
There's like this phrasing that we've been talking about a lot lately where it's like everything is additive. And that's kind of how you're approaching your professional side too. Because a lot of the times when we reference that, we mean it in the sense of like, you're getting into an argument or, confrontation of some kind or whatever. So, but no, that's awesome, man.
A thought I've been developing lately is that you don't get to know what you should be doing until you're already doing it.
Yeah, 100%. That's so true.
So it really feels like you found your direction by your input. I'm walking this path and I'm going to see what there is down here for me.
Yep. And a lot of it's like, what don't I want to do? Like, I know it's just like, I know I don't want to do this. I know I don't want to do that. And then it's like a game of elimination to what's left, and then I just try to keep focusing on the things that I do like doing and just do more of those, as much as possible.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your music while we have the opportunity to do so. So one track that really stuck out to me when I was listening to it was, I might mispronounce it, so I apologize. Sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Kintsugi?
Right? Kintsugi Beauty. Yeah.
When I was listening to it, I found the message felt a lot about like finding strength and like imperfection. So I'm really wondering, like, what was the inspiration? Like, was there a time in your life or something going on that really inspired why you wrote that song?
So it's multifaceted. Like, one, it's like a personal journey and understanding, but two, I saw it in another person as well. And it's like they were going through a hard time, and I'm a person who really sees potential in people all the time, for the benefit and sometimes for the worst, because like sometimes you see the potential but like the person doesn't want it, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, man, I see, it helps me see myself by the reflection of other people. And Kintsugi, the word itself, is from a Japanese phrase that means repairing broken things with gold. So like, it's like when they break pottery and they put it back together and seal the seam with gold, is like, that's where the hook comes from. If you have scars on your soul, let me fill them up with gold. So it's like, people can be broken, but it's like the broken parts, once you heal them, is sometimes the most beautiful parts about the person, right? So that's like the overarching concept, and I think it fits to everybody, really. And it just like seeing this one person and understanding that concept, and it really helped me be like, wow, okay, like a person can be broken, but sometimes the broken parts are the beautiful parts once you can kind of heal them.
Yeah. That gave me chills, because so I'm familiar with the practice of using gold to fill in. I forgot the name of it until you just told me.
Yeah.
And now, because I was thinking of the lyrics too, that, you know, got scars on your souls, let me fill them up with gold. I had that on my mind too. And as you were saying that, I was like, oh God, it connected. It was like a puzzle coming together.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be doing a huge disservice to you and the audience if I didn't mention, this is one of your tracks off of your first album, The Birth of an Artist.
Yep.
The one that we had talked about earlier.
Yep.
So I highly recommend people to go check out that album, and definitely go listen to Kintsugi Beauty. It's an awesome song.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite songs. Like, it's like a very, very like personal track, I think. But I also see sometimes when you make something that's super personal to you, it like resonates with other people as well.
Yeah, I could feel like it just felt like there was a lot of care put into it, almost like, you know, like you're filling the cracks with gold.
Nice. I appreciate that. That's awesome.
This first album was an explosive thing, but a lot of the concept behind protracted growth is really dedication and consistency. So you've put out a lot of work since then. Can you talk about how you've kind of maybe overcome some adversities in like sticking with it and just going in and day out in order to continue to embody your best self there?
That's really cool. Yeah, I appreciate you noticing that. So the first album, the plan was just to make it for the friends. I wasn't really thinking about releasing it and like making a whole new artist career. Like, that wasn't the point. The point was just like this special gift for the friends. And I gave it to them, and then people were listening to it. And like after the party, weeks and weeks after, everybody just kept getting like, oh, this song is awesome. Oh, this song is great. I love this song. And like, I was like, man, that's like, okay, well, like music, again, art is meant to be shared. Why would I just not share this with the rest of the world, you know? So I was like, okay, well, let me, you know, release it. And I did like, you know, one song a month just to like drip it out. And then from there, along that process, I was like, why would I stop making music? Because I just felt so enriched by the process of making it, where I was like, this, like doing it, I was like, this has been missing. This creative outlet has been missing in my life. And there's no reason that I can't just keep doing it. It doesn't have to be anything. It has to be what whatever I say it is what it is. I don't have to go on tour. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And I felt like I finally had something to say after 40 years of ups and downs. I had, you know, a couple of words from that, you know? So I was like, man, like, why not? Why not just keep making music? And over time, like just developing, what do I want to say? Like, what message do I want to deliver? The Birth of an Artist, again, was like for me and my friends and just like this culmination, but it's like going forward, what else? And that's where, just kind of the consistent message of there are struggles, but be uplifted by them and you are the person that overcomes your struggles. Like you as a human are the overcomer of your obstacles. That's who you are. And that's my message to other people, because one unifying thing about life is there are problems and there will always be problems regardless of who you are, what things. If you're super rich, you have super rich people problems. If you're super poor, you have super poor people problems. Like everybody has problems though. It's a consistent theme in the human struggle, the human condition. And I think that anybody can resonate with that message of trying to overcome your obstacles. And I just love motivating people, really, because like, why not? If that's in you to like help somebody out and help them like make their day better, I think that's one of the best things you can do with your time. So,
and is that the kind of message that you were getting across in like one of your more recent songs, like The Other Side?
Yeah, that one's kind of a message of like how it feels once you reach the other side, and it's like the striving and the longing for, I know that I want to be somewhere, but I'm not quite there yet. That one really just like, and it was like, I get a lot of like, who knows where dreams come from? I don't know where they come from, but like I get a lot of those just like insertion points into my mind of a concept or an idea, or it's like, and that song was written when I had the feeling of like, you're on the other side now. Like there's who you were and who you want to be, and there's a line in the middle, is the way I phrase it or think about it. And you can be on this side of the line towards where you're closer to who you were, or you can be on the other side of the line where you're closer to who you want to be. And the message was like, you're on the other side. So now I'm living on the other side of that line that's closer to the person that I want to be ultimately. And that's kind of what this song tries to encapsulate, is the longing. The first verse more like longing to be on the other side, and the second verse is more like I'm on the other side. And they kind of try to wrap that all in one song.
It makes sense. I want to point out real quick, and I really want to make sure the listeners understand this, but you should go check out the song to get the full grasp of it. But the very first like line in the song where I'm in the gym trying to exercise my demons,
dude, yes, that one slapped.
Wondering what's going on between them. I was like, as soon as I hit, I was like, oh yeah, had me hooked almost immediately, man. That's an awesome message that you're showing in that song too.
Nice,
incredible
I appreciate
work,
that.
Man.
Heck yeah.
One thing that we've talked to a couple artists at this point, and they've all had different experiences, different kind of like muses that they've thrown into their music. One thing that I'm really curious about when it comes to your kind of music is, do you feel like it's helping you process like personal challenges? Like I know you said that you put a lot of time into like Kintsugi beauty, but do you do that kind of same thought process with all of your music to kind of help your audience feel your vulnerabilities and connect with it?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's like a process of life, really. So like I meditate a lot. I journal. I try to journal like every day. So I think those processes are like part of my internal refinement of myself and my ideas and what I'm thinking and what I'm going through. And then I have like observation of watching other people and their lives and their struggles. And that's kind of that other side of seeing, how other people exist. And I feel like the music is the encapsulation of both of those things, of like, it helps me process my own internal things I'm going through. And it also hopefully helps other people, because I think we're a lot, even though our differences, I think like, again, with the human condition, and I think we're a lot more alike than we act, So I really like to, I don't think that me personally is going through internally different things than other people. I think we're all kind of going through very similar things. So I try to use creativity to help me, but then after the music is created, it's the gift to help others through their similar struggles. So it's kind of a full experience.
Yeah, that can make sense to me a lot. I know I know you've already answered it on your social media, like where the name Jeristotle came from, but I do get the sense of like hearing you talk and explain your process and everything, why you'd be like the modern day Aristotle.
You're like, oh, it's starting to make sense.
I'm like, it's all coming together, man. It's all one gigantic picture here. You know?
Yeah, it's really funny because I've been talking like this to my hip hop partner. He's the first one that got the full experience, and he's the one that actually gave me the name. You know, because I'm like, what about this? Like, what about this thing? What about this theory? What do you think about? It's just like, I just think really interesting questions are like the best thing. You know, just like helping people, because the right question can change your entire existence. Like it can break, because it can break your belief pattern. It can break your thought patterns, you know? Like I remember, like I grew up going to church and stuff like that. And I went to school, and I went to this, I was a liberal arts college, and had a philosophy professor named Dr. Rose. And he's like, what if you were born in China and you never heard your religion? And I'm like, what? Like, would you still be a Christian? And I'm just like, dang, that's like, I was like, I never asked myself that question. And it's like, dude, what are the other religious things? Like, what, you know? And it's like, man, so that like, that opened, it just cracked my whole brain open. And that was like my freshman year of college. So I was like, okay, well, apparently I don't know anything. Like, let me try to figure some stuff out. I thought I knew everything coming here, and now I know nothing. So this is great.
It was money well spent. This first year, money well spent.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is going on? I didn't, but that like pretty much that kind of experience, those experiences, like, just opened my brain up where I'm like, man, like what's really going on, you know? And just life has been a discovery process ever since that moment, I think.
Yeah, so I had a very difficult time after I had a deep spiritual ceremony in which I was completely ejected out of my body. And by the time I came back, I had no idea how to pilot this meat suit. And I've explored a lot of Buddhist ideas and conceptions. And one of the big things that really resonates with me and that I've been trying to wrap my brain around is, they said the Buddha, if he was dropped on an alien planet, the first thing he would do would be to explore and figure out how everything worked. And one of the core concepts there was like uncovering the patterns and the belief cycles and really trying to discern how you can justify it. So I find that incredibly important that you mentioned, if you had never heard of your religion before, would you still be a believer? Because we do have to dissect the patterns of what we're doing every single day. Are you doing that because that's what you've been taught and what you've been told you're supposed to be doing? Or is that really true to you in your heart and your soul? Is that actually your purpose?
Yep.
So, wow. Yeah, no, you have to really explore what you believe in. And I'm very grateful that I have a lot of friends who are lawyers. Because you'll say something and they'll be like, okay, cool. Now defend that point, idiot.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how. I have no idea.
That's awesome.
One big thing we always ask in most of our interviews, especially for people who have made it to the other side, is what advice would you give to someone who's trying to become more like you? A young artist trying to make it in the industry who doesn't have a background in web development and money in the bank, and they're trying to make this life happen.
I would say the first step to trying to become more like me is to try to become more like themselves. Like, I think that I think that's the only real way forward, and I think that's the biggest mistake most people make. I have the luxury of being an introvert. Doesn't always seem like a luxury. Sometimes it's really difficult to be an introvert, but like I have always spent my life thinking internally. So I derived my own conclusions internally for the most part. Most of the world are extroverts, and most of the world see what's going on and they try to model what's going on externally, but that's not where the answers are most of the time. Like, you kind of have to, how do you feel about it is a really important question. I don't think your feelings should dictate your actions. You get in trouble doing that a lot of times, but like your feelings are like a compass. It kind of points you in a direction where you can, okay, is this right? I don't feel good about that. Probably not right. Is this more? Okay. So you have to follow your internal guidance system of like where you actually want to go, and don't be like pushed by external forces. And that's, that'll be your first 30 years of life. And then after that, and then once you figure that out, but like, and then let that guide you. And then from there, resources come in a lot of different forms. It's not just money. Community is a very valuable resource that doesn't cost anything. Be a very good person, connect with your community, connect with other artists that are trying to do similar things. And if you're so inclined, to be an organizer of those. And then if you can organize and bring groups of people together, that's what I found in my first journey doing music. If you can bring groups of people together, you own the world. Because if you can bring 100 people to a venue, you can have the venue. Like, I don't care how good your music is. I don't care what you're doing. If you can bring 100 people to a venue on a Thursday, Wednesday, Friday night, you will get that venue. Just don't break everything while you're in there, obviously. But like, or you won't be able to come back. But like, that's the power. Because like, I always was like, oh, it's, how creative are you, or how talented are you as an artist? That's what dictates success. That's half of it. You know what I mean? The other half is really like your ability to bring people together for a common objective or common cause. And that's just basic leadership principles. You know what I mean? So if you don't have money, get people. If you don't have anything, get something. You can't just have nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you really have to bring a benefit to other people to be successful in anything.
Yeah. So when we were talking, sorry, Tim, my turn.
Go ahead, man.
When we were talking about Kintsugi beauty, and you said, watching someone else go through this process kind of allowed you to hold up the mirror to yourself and really recognize your own personal growth. Something I wrote down in our notes is our eyeball. Taking that. Our eyeballs point outward. So looking in is so much harder. So I do think it's incredible that you mentioned being an introvert as being a blessing, because you have had that natural predisposition to look inward. How do I feel about this? What have I actually gone through? And journaling, how did I feel about what happened today? So that's, oh my God, it's so important to have community around you and being able to watch other people grow through what you're growing through. So a really key thing here that I don't know if we've talked about very much yet is surrounding yourself with other people going in the same direction as you.
That's huge.
So I'm just flabbergasted, one of Tim's favorite words, that you've spoken about bringing people together and growing together so that you can kind of see it in yourself. And then that will allow you to really water that seed.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid the pitfalls of surrounding yourself with those energy vampires or energy leeches who are trying to just sit on your coattails as you ascend? Is there an easy answer there?
I mean, I think it goes back to how you feel, and then being in tune with how you feel, being self-aware, that allows you to understand how other people are making you feel. You should always try to, if you talk to a person and you feel energized, regardless of what you're talking about, that your energies are amplifying each other. You feel good. You're like, oh man, yeah, you're excited. Like there's certain people that just give you that energy when you're talking to them, and you guys kind of vibrate back and forth and energize each other. And now you're done talking. You're excited. Okay, you might want to talk to that person more. On the opposite side, if you talk to a person and they're just draining you, and like you feel tired after you talk to them, that's how you know. Like your energy has been sucked out. You don't have to logically understand how or why. That's another step. But like if you keep going back to that person, you need to really do a little self-analysis, because why are you enjoying that situation so much that you keep doing it? So like it could be bad, but sometimes we do bad things. We're humans. So but yeah, just really paying attention to how people make you feel is like the step. And just and I think things are like a process, right? Like you're not going to have 100 people that you love talking to all the time immediately, but if you have one, okay, that's one. Okay, now keep talking to other people. You found another one, now that's two. And I think the world we live in now, where everything's so fast, like people lose sight of the natural nature in the incremental growth, right? Like 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, like things can expand rapidly, but you have to let them, you can't just start with 100 people because they're not all going to be great people. So you have to kind of collect and nurture, your community.
First things first, I kind of want to give you like this, I guess, verbal golden trophy here, because very rarely does Aaron react like a rock's been dropped on his head. So congratulations to you, because I don't think I've ever gotten that reaction out of him.
Nice. I made it. I finally made it.
You made it, man. Heck yeah. No, you honestly, are on the other side.
But here's the thing. I love that so much. Like this is one of the reasons I really wanted to have this conversation with you guys, is because I love having interesting, intelligent conversations with people. I think it's one of the best things in the world. Yeah. And like just exchanging information back and forth. And like I'm energized right now just having this conversation. Before I was like in some meeting that I didn't want to be in. I'm like, and I get on here with you guys. I'm like, yeah, it's like I get fired up, So it's like this feeds my soul doing stuff like this. I just really, really enjoy it. So again, do more of the things you like. That's the recipe for success in life, Yeah,
I feel the exact same way. I was so tired. Cause it's like 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night for me right now. So I was like ready for bed pretty much. And then we hop on here and I'm starting to feel all this energy now, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
With everything that we've talked about, being able to reflect or self-reflect and everything, and making sure that you kind of don't fall into, these pitfalls that people create for you. I'm very curious. So being in the music industry, especially like depending on what genre you're in, metalheads, they always have to wear chains and dye their hair black and stuff and everything. As a hip hop artist, there's always those certain like images and personas that people expect you to project. Do you feel like you're able to kind of buck the trend a little bit, maintain your own personal mental health and stay grounded? Or do you have like a method for how you go about that?
I think I'm just too tired to care. I'm just kidding.
Perks of being grown.
I'm like, it's like,
hell yeah.
When I was younger, I remember in I think I had this understanding in like high school or after like high school, where I had my first job working by myself. I was at Burger King. I was like 15, and I was like working, and like I was asking my parents. Like I grew up like middle class. And like my parents I had everything I needed, but nothing I wanted, kind of thing, So my parents, like, I always want some clothes or some chains or some shoes. And like my parents were like, you have shoes. Why do you need more shoes? And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to get it. I'm going to make all this money and I'll buy whatever I want. And then so I worked at Burger King, like probably there for like a year. I remember I got my first income tax return and it was like $8,000. To me, I was like, that's $1 million. Like, and then I was like, where is that money? Where's the $8,000? And then I was like, looked at my shoes, I looked at my clothes, and I'm like, I'm wearing my $8,000 right now. And I was like, this is bullshit. Like, what? No, this is dumb. Like, what? So
what have I done?
From that point, I was like, okay, that's okay. I'm not doing that anymore. I learned that at a pretty young age. That and I again with the introversion, I think like always tried to. From there, I was like, in high school, I was more like, oh, let me like be cool and wear cool stuff, whatever. But from that point, I was like, well, I'm just gonna wear what I think is cool and just go from there. And the thing is, like, that's actually where innovation is. Like, other people dress like the person who doesn't dress like other people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that's creativity at its. And I didn't know any of this at the time. This is all hindsight, but like I think that's just how it is. Is like people are drawn to originality, to people that are different. Like if there's like there's a book. Seth Godin has a book called like The Purple Cow. Like if there's a group of cows and there's a purple cow, you're just gonna look at the purple cow and you're like, what's up with the purple cow? Immediate attention, like that's what being different than what everybody else is doing is. So I see it more as a blessing than like, let me just fit in with all these things that are happening. I'm just like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, then you're not for me. Like, so.
Yeah. There was something I saw the other day where this kind of applies a little bit. I just think it's a really cool quote. But it was like every cool person is somebody out there who doesn't realize they're cringy or something like that.
For sure, right? Yeah.
And it was just like,
Yeah.
like, think about it, right? Like the people who wear like those ridiculous. So the video in particular that I was watching was like this dude making this really cool leather cowboy hat that I would never wear in my entire life. Had like these badass feathers and skulls and stuff all over. And I was like 14-year-old me would have been like, damn, that is the coolest thing in the entire world.
Right.
31-year-old me, I'm like, I would never wear that.
Right.
But it's like the people who walk around wearing clothes like that or you know, just embracing their own particular style and enjoyment
Yeah.
without thinking to themselves like, oh man, maybe I feel cringy or whatever wearing this. They're just being themselves. They're being authentic. And I think that's the coolest damn thing in the entire world.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there. I think being authentically you is a tough thing to do, but once you figure it out, it's the best thing to do because you don't have to. It makes you lighter because you don't have to pretend to be somebody you're not. You know, it's just easy. It really is easier. Like when it seems harder, but once you accept that that's just what's happening, then it's the easiest thing in the world. You know,
dude, your back stops hurting the moment you start walking tall.
Yeah, 100%.
So, innovators. I study what people aren't saying or what people aren't doing. And I love that every time I see a Steve Jobs or a Jeff Bezos or an Elon, they're wearing normal clothes. Yeah. They're not wearing $8,000 jeans and a $10,000 belt. Because
kick Elon off that list.
Yeah, sorry, but he is the richest man on earth at this point that we know of.
Yeah. He's wearing like airplane clothes at all times.
But I mean, Adam Sandler, he's never worn a suit in his life.
Perfect.
But a key facet of that is I don't want you talking about what I'm wearing. I want you talking about what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so, for sure.
I'm so appreciative that you said that, of being your authentic self, not throwing your money away on a pair of shoes and, you know, your outfit, because then you're not going to have shit in the bank.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're trying to flex how much you have by spending it, you're going to be left with almost nothing at the end of the day. So, a totally different direction. I'm trying to pivot here. This is my hot ones, you know, catch you off guard. I want to know what you're afraid of. As a man who's made it, what do you still fear?
So I don't think I've made it is one, and that probably comes from my fear of not developing myself to my full potential. Like leaving something on the court, like being like not like relaxing too much, or like not working or not trying or not caring, and just like time runs out on the clock and you're like, dang. And then I can't remember what study it was, but it was like these people that were in the last years of their life, the biggest thing wasn't the things that they did wrong. It was the regrets they had of the things they didn't do. And I don't want to be in that position where like, I should have tried harder. I really should have put myself out there more. I really should have like made that album that I never made. You know, like I really should have done that. And I think that's the fear that is bigger than any of the other fears. Because doing any of this is crazy, right? It's just like you guys having this podcast is crazy. Like putting yourselves out there, it's a crazy thing. But what's scarier is what if you don't do it? And then what if you're 80 years old and you're like, I really should have made that podcast, and it's too late to do something about it at that point, you know? And that's my biggest fear, I think.
Your biggest fear is your biggest regret.
Yeah, having a huge regret, you know? And like, I've done a lot of crazy things in life and had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but I did things, you know, and I continue to do things.
If any of our listeners need to find just that one thing to give you some motivation, take what Jeristotle just said. Seriously, take it and listen to it again, because I'll be damned. Like that is something that Aaron and I, we tell ourselves something, a pretty similar mantra regularly when we're sitting down to do the show is like, man, like if we don't do more episodes of No Streetlights, we're going to regret it. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next year. It may be 50 years from now, but we're going to regret it.
Yep.
Don't let that fear of like putting yourself out there and embracing something that you don't understand or don't fully know don't let the fear of putting out a bad product stop you from putting it out at all.
And I think that's one of the things I told my friend when we were making music together. I'm like, do you realize that if we don't make this music, it'll never be made? Like that. And for some reason I was like, it'll never exist if we don't create it. Like and I'm like, man, to me, it's almost like I'm a potential junkie though. So it's like, it's almost a sin to not to have this gold and you just keep it in your pocket, keep it in the ground. Or it's just like, man, you were given a gift and that your gift was meant to be shared and you're just selfish. So you don't share it. So you're not gonna, because I think we've all been the beneficiaries of an amazing creative experience that somebody else did. And what if they didn't do that? You wouldn't have had your life enriched in the way it was if they never took the chance to create it and then shared it with you. And I'm like, I want to do that for other people. One is enough. You help one person's life. You change the trajectory of time. Congratulations. You know what I mean?
We're getting pretty close to our time cap here, Jeristotle. So I have one major question that I really want to ask you. And this kind of ties in a little bit with Aaron and I. Aaron's former military, I'm current military. We talk to a lot of veterans. And one thing that I'm really, been processing lately is how many of those people, they've gone through different traumatic experiences and whatnot. As an artist, do you see parallels between the resilience you have to build and the challenges that others may face in life? And particularly do you think you can tie that into how could somebody as a veteran deal with that or something to that effect?
That's wonderful. Honestly, thank both of you for your service. I have a lot of friends that are my fraternity brothers that also are active or past military. So I also was a government contractor for a while and worked closely with the military. So very, very a soft spot in my heart for the military. And I think the military it's the oldest art form, if you will. It really is. I feel people had to learn how to work together, go through trauma and all that stuff to build themselves up as very strong people to fight for their country and defend against other countries since the beginning of time, And one of my favorite quotes is, you don't want to be a gardener in a war, but it's okay to be a warrior in a garden. You know what I mean? Because when war comes, you're ready. The gardener's not ready for war. So I think that kind of lends itself to there, that discipline that a military mind has or is developed through their experiences is what is required to be successful in anything, but specifically art, because you have to be tough. You can't and you have to do, what is inside of you. You can't just, fall under pressure or fold to the circumstance. You have to really drive with that direction. And I think that military mind, a lot of references in hip hop music, are military minded because it understands that discipline that it takes and that toughness that it takes to be successful. And anybody in the military that is considering to be an artist, I think that you'll be very successful if you take what you've learned in the military and apply it to your art. That dedication, that consistency, you get up, you work, you knock it out, and then delivering it to the world. I think you would actually have a big leg up on a lot of people, because I think a lot of people, it's not creativity that people lack, it's discipline. I think most people lack discipline. That's why they're not successful. It's not their ability. It's not they could do it, but they just don't do it consistently enough and they don't keep at it.
Very well said. Thank you.
100%.
I love that answer, man.
100%.
Awesome.
So before we close out and I do my signature summary, Jeristotle, is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't touched on yet? Is there anything that's really that you feel the need to get out? I don't want to leave you stopped up.
Inspiring words for the end of the podcast. You can do it, man. Just do it. Don't stop. Don't let anything, if it's in your heart to do something, it was given to you by wherever dreams come from to follow that dream. And I think that you have to think about it, not just you following your dream, your action inspires other people to take action. So if you can't do it for yourself, do it for everybody that you love and everybody that surrounds you, because you're following your dream relentlessly, consistently will inspire other people to do the same. So I think every one person that can do that, you inspire 10 at least. And then maybe they'll inspire 10 more. And that's the way that the world can become a better place ultimately, is more people pursuing their passions. I really think, and I think that's what's happening right now, honestly. I think that movement has been energized in the world we're living in, and you guys doing what you love, and interviewing other people that do what they love, is a really strong part of that. So I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate what you're doing. And I want to make sure the listeners know where they can find you at. So would you mind giving us the locations where people can find you
sure.
and what exactly you have?
Definitely. First and foremost, at It's Jeristotle on everything. I love having great conversations, so feel free to hit me up in the DM. We can talk about whatever. I'm always down to chat, always down to, just share stories, share inspiration. And you can check my music out on Spotify, Jeristotle. And from there, we'll see where we can grow together, because that's the whole point.
Heck yeah. And we'll make sure all of your links are down in the description below. So listeners, you go check that out down there. Go find Jeristotle on all the social media platforms, whichever one is your personal favorite ones. And he's also over on YouTube. So go give him a follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
All
Please,
the things.
thank you. All the things, yeah.
Heck yeah.
So my final message, what Jeristotle is leaving me with personally: what we fear defines us. Typically we talk about overcoming, but today, I'm so sorry, I want to leave each and every one of you with a new fear. I want you to be afraid of leaving your potential behind, leaving something on the table. Let your drive every single day to be better. Let that define you. Don't be afraid of how other people are going to receive your message, or how people are going to perceive you when you're embodying your true self. Be yourself unapologetically, and don't strive for a tangible goal. There is no number that's going to make you happy. There is no trophy that's going to make you happy. Being better every single day is what's going to bring you that joy. So aim to be better every day. Let that fear define you.
Very well said.
Excellent.
I want to go ahead and let the listeners know real quick. Aaron and I over here at No Streetlights, we are not professional medical professionals. So if you do need help, please consider calling 911 or text or call 988 for immediate medical assistance.
If you want protracted support, we've partnered with BetterHelp since the very beginning. You can use our code betterhelp.com/NSLP. You get 10% off your first month, and they give us a pretty decent kickback, which helps us grow. That was the first huge support we got, was when one of our friends used that link, and it really inspired us to step up our game. That's why Tim and I are running Shure mics now. So get the help you need, whatever that's going to look like for you. But Jeristotle, thank you so much for inspiring people. And we really need more people like you in the world who are going to be reaching across that line from the other side, helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you guys. And just a plug for you guys as well. Like, I actually used BetterHelp. Like one of my friends, he's like one of my business partners. He passed away, and that was like really just like shook me up. And I did BetterHelp for a couple months, and it helped me just like reframe my thinking about things, and really helped me like get through that loss and kind of deal with that grief. So definitely use that link, guys. And if you need, and it's just nice to have somebody to talk to. And then when you're done talking to him, you can just stop talking to him, so you can tell him anything. So it's really helpful. So I highly recommend it. Even if you just want somebody to talk to. So,
well, thanks to all of you for listening and joining us on this ride today. I really hope that you take these messages that Jeristotle, Aaron, and myself were able to convey to you. If you guys want to reach out to us or Jeristotle, social media, great opportunity. All the links are going to be down below. My last message to all of you is going to be what I always leave you with. Be good to yourselves and each other.
We love you.
So take a breath, you're right on time. No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something